Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be all about everything that I read in December and mini reviews of this. Almost everything I read is a mystery, especially cozy mysteries, so if you like mysteries, you'll love my channel. It's all on mysteries, and let's go and hop into this. If you are new, welcome. My name is Amy Marie. My channel focuses entirely on mystery content, and let's go and hop into the first book I read. So this one I finished yesterday, and today is the 28th, so right at the end of December. This is A Batter of Life and Death by Ellie Alexander. This is just covering my library, the name of my library since it has my town in it. But this is the second in the Bakeshop mystery series, which I read the first of, Meet Your Baker, last month, and I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars on Goodreads. However, this book, the second book in the series, really blew me out of the water. I gave this 5 stars on Goodreads. I do have my Goodreads account down in the description if you want to check it out and follow me on there, or friend me. I'd love to be your friend as well. But this is such a fun book. So the main character, Jules, is in I always forget exactly, Ashland, Oregon. So she is in Ashland, Oregon, and she, within the first book, had moved back to her hometown, and she's working with her mother in her bake shop, Tort, and the shop is having some financial trouble, which Jules uncovered in the first book, and essentially in this book, she is offered the opportunity to compete in a baking competition where the prize money is $25,000, which would make a huge impact on Tort's financial situation. So she ends up in this baking competition with all these kooky characters. There's just some really interesting chefs who are competing with her, and they all have their own mysteries and secrets. And one of the chefs, who's very widely disliked, he shows up drunk all the time on set. He's very rude to everyone. He's demanding, pushy, you know, all these things nobody likes. And he ends up dead, actually death by buttercream, which is a little cheesy, but the book itself is amazing. The character development in this from the first book to this one is really good. I really enjoyed it. I felt like it deepened a bit. I felt like it really, I don't know, the series really got good in this book. So I already have the third one, which is called On Thin Icing, on hold at my library, which I'll be picking up. So this is definitely a really good book. I would recommend checking out the series if you like culinary baking mysteries like myself. And again, this is by Ellie Alexander. Okay, so the very first book that I finished in December was bad. It was really bad. In fact, I don't know why I did finish reading it. Like, I should have stopped. I really should have. So the book, I'm going to put it on screen because I've already returned it to the library. It's called Stalking Jack the Ripper. And this is a little bit outside of the typical kind of mystery I read. This one's definitely maybe a little more geared towards young adults and all of that. But it is like a historical fiction murder mystery about a girl who's trying to uncover who is Jack the Ripper, and she actually has a very interesting hobby for a girl at the age. She actually operates on cadavers with her uncle who does that kind of work in the medical community, and she has to do that in secret because it's very frowned upon for a lady to be doing that at that time. And at first it started off really well. I liked the main character for the most part. I thought she was really smart. I thought she was well spoken. I thought, you know, I was very interested in how she was going to go about solving the case, especially because I didn't know she'd be looking at cadavers and stuff. So it's a little bit, I wouldn't say it's like a super graphic mystery, but there is some descriptions of cadavers, so just know that going in if that would bother you. Just know, because I wouldn't recommend like eating during it. Like another murder mystery like this, I can usually eat during. This one, no. This one I would recommend not eating during. However, my complaint with the book, I ended up giving it 2 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. Maybe I should have given it 1. I don't know. Is that the main character got so insufferable throughout the book. She kind of had this I'm not like other girls thing going on. She kept putting down anybody else who was like traditionally feminine or who like fit more into society's mold, and I'm all about characters that break out of stereotypes and are like really their own person and embrace themselves. But there's also, you don't need to put others down to do that. And I also found it interesting because there'd be other scenes where she'd be like very excited about girly things, like traditionally feminine things like dresses and stuff like that. But then like in the next scene, she'd be putting people down for having the same interest as her. She had like a superior attitude about her that I didn't like. But my biggest critique of the book was, I did call who did it at the end, and I think it made sense. Like the plot, no spoilers, I don't share spoilers in any of my reviews, just so you know, but There were no, the actual like who did it was well done. I liked the reveal. I liked who did it. I think it made perfect sense. I think all of that was good. However, when that character talked about why they did it, it went from being this like cold, calculated killer to this like this person couldn't hold it together enough to like have a normal conversation and keep their cool like they did throughout the book. So it basically presented this person as someone who was very like sly and sneaky and well put together and could like mesh well in society, but then at the reveal, when they talked about their reasoning and stuff, they were clearly like insane or something. Like, I mean, they were like mad, like crazy, absolutely like there's no way this person could have operated in society the way they did throughout the book, but then you're expected to believe that. It was very odd. It had a lot of like fake girl power things in it. I like wanted to love it. Like the concept was really cool. And there's 2 more in the series and one of them involves Dracula, and I'm really tempted to, because I love like the concept of it, but I won't be reading more from this. I just can't. The writing itself was nice, like I liked the writing style, but the main character just killed me. There was a lot of fake girl power, like putting down other women in it, which I didn't like, and then the reveal was too unbelievable. Like the reasoning behind it, I couldn't do it. So that was a no-go for me. Would not recommend. Alright, another one that was okay. It wasn't as bad as Stalking Jack the Ripper, but it definitely wasn't a big win for me. I'm not sure if I'm going to read any more from the series. Like, I kind of want to. Like, I feel like there's potential, but I'm not sure. So we'll see. So this book is called Murder in the First Edition. This is a Beyond the Page bookshop mystery. This is like book, I don't know, 6 or something. Let's see. This is actually book 3 in the series, so I wanted to jump into this because this one is a Christmas themed one, and it involves a Charles Dickens like original manuscript being stolen, and I love bookish themed cozy mysteries, and I really liked the plot. I thought the plot was well done. I was able to put together who did it, but it was done in a really well, like a nice way. Like I thought the plot was well written. I liked the supporting characters, but the main character, she drove me crazy. She absolutely drove me crazy. So her name is Addie, and she works at her bookshop in New England, and her father-in-law, or almost father-in-law because her fiance, I guess, passed away, shows up in town, and they have a very rocky relationship. There's a lot of animosity between the two of them, but he ends up being suspected for a murder, and the manuscript that she donated for this charity auction, the Dickens one, which is worth like 5 figures or something, ends up being stolen in the process. So she immediately suspects him. She's like on him. She wants him to be like thrown in jail, even though there's really no evidence or like reason to think that he did it other than the fact that he knew the woman who was murdered. So it's pretty, pretty loose evidence, but she is so belligerent. That would be the word I would think of. She will put everyone else in danger. She will like blatantly ignore the cops. Now I know in a lot of the cozy mysteries that they kind of ignore the police, and like still stick their nose in things, but I mean she goes about it in such a blatant way. She tells the cops off, and then this is a personal pet peeve of mine, but there is like a love triangle in it. I don't really read cozy mysteries too much for the romance, but it's usually in there a little bit. There's a love triangle, and she strings both of these guys along so much. I mean, to the point that it's really bad, and it's like kind of played off like, oh well, she doesn't know, she's just making up her mind, but it's like to the point where it horrifies me how she treats them. Like it truly does. Like yeah, I mean this is how far she strings them along. Like this doesn't have anything to do with the plot, so it's not a spoiler, it's just a little detail from the book. If you want to skip ahead 20 seconds, but she ends up kissing one of them, and then like 20 seconds later he leaves, and then the other love interest walks in and she ends up kissing him, and I'm sitting there like, what? And this is after she decides, you know what, maybe I am stringing these people along, I need to like set boundaries. And I was just sitting there like, what on earth? It's not that I expect characters to be perfect, but it was really confusing, and there was so much effort given to this love triangle, and it was just really in the way of the plot. Like I was getting annoyed with it. So the plot itself and the other secondary characters in this book were so well written, and I really loved it, but the main character got on my nerves. If you've read this series, let me know if it's just this book maybe where that like annoying love triangle is in, because the 4th book in the series sounded really good and I kind of want to read it, but I don't know. I gave it 3 stars on Goodreads. We'll see if I end up picking up another one. Maybe. I might give it a try. Oh, okay, so this next one is called Death of a Cozy Writer by G.M. Mallet. So this is a completely new author, new series to me, and this is book 1 of the Saint Just mystery series, and this was excellent. This book really reminded me of like Agatha Christie style writing. So it is like a cozy mystery book, nothing graphic. It's not as like humorous and like kind of punny and cutesy as like some of these other books I've been talking about are, but it's definitely like a very cozy mystery, nothing too graphic. And it basically takes place with like a lot of family drama and tension, kind of like a closed murder within the like family mansion. And one of the main characters is a very well-known murder mystery writer, which seems to be the theme for the series. I've already put the 2nd book on hold, and that one I think is like a chick lit writer, so each one seems to be themed with a different style of writer being like murdered or someone in their life being murdered, which I find to be kind of an interesting like series thing, so I find that to be interesting. Anyways, the writing style was beautiful. It very much read like an Agatha Christie. My only thing about this book was I could not for the life of me tell what time period this was in, because originally it felt like the way the book was written that this was a very like maybe something set in like the 1900s, like it felt very like it felt older, but then like later on there was like mentions of different technology that would have been around much later, so I had a hard time placing when these books, like what era they're supposed to be set in. But other than that, the characters were fleshed out very well. I thought the reveal was great. I really enjoyed it, so I've already put the 2nd one on hold at my library. Mostly I would say if you like Agatha Christie's writing style, you'd really like this book. It was just had that kind of old school like cozy mystery writing style to it, which I really enjoyed, so I would recommend it. I think I gave it 5 stars, I think, so it was really good. Another 5-star read for me, and this is probably no shocker if you've watched some of my other videos, but this is A Way to Manger by Rhys Bowen. This is a cozy mystery, historical fiction mystery set in the early 1900s with Molly Murphy, who is an Irish immigrant, and this is her first Christmas that she is married to her husband with her new like young baby, and her like ward, who's like a 12 or 11-year-old girl or so, who like helps watch the baby, and they took her in. And it's their first Christmas together. She's super excited. She used to, in some of the earlier books, have her own private investigating firm before her husband, who's a police chief, married her, and she kind of gave it up to raise a family. However, she still kind of dabbles in mysteries, and if you love a historical fiction mystery, I would highly recommend this entire series. But this one is really heartwarming, and it's a little different than other mystery novels because it doesn't start out with a murder, like in the first there's not even a murder mentioned until like, I don't know, 2/3 away into the book. But the primary mystery is that she finds these 2 children, a 4-year-old girl and like an 8-year-old boy, who are on the streets begging, and that's not uncommon. She sees beggars around all the time, and she tries to, bring them food and stuff to help out. But the mystery is that they are clearly very like well-bred, very well-spoken. They have a very distinct accent, and have clearly been like highly educated. So she's trying to figure out why these children are on the street, because they kind of stand out amongst like other children on the street, and there's also a lot of thievery going on, like with pickpocketing and stuff that she's trying to kind of take a look into as well. But she's trying to figure out what happened to them, and when she talks to them, she finds out that their mother left them with their aunt, who's not actually their aunt, but they call her their aunt. And so she tries to figure out what happened to their mother, because it doesn't sound like there's any reason that the mother like ran off or anything. So the main mystery is her really trying to figure out where their mother is and get them reconnected with their family. It's a really sweet, heartwarming mystery. It's also shorter than most of her other ones. It's like about 240 pages, so it's pretty short. Like most of her other ones are over 300, so this one's really good. It was an excellent Christmas read, very heartwarming. I just love the way she fleshes out the characters. You can really feel their emotions, and I love every character in this is just so well fleshed out. The secondary characters, Molly herself, like everyone is so well fleshed out. I just love these. So I would highly recommend it. I gave that 5 stars, easy. beautiful series. Okay, we have a book that I did actually DNF. I didn't finish it. I read about 50% of the way and I just gave up. I couldn't do it, and I'm so sad because I actually included this in my Christmas to be read, like ones I had never read that I was very excited to read, and this is called A Garland of Bones by Carolyn Haines, and this is part of the Sarah Boothe Delaney mystery series. I think this is like 27 or 26. It's in like the 20s for the series, so there's a lot of these. And I was very excited because the first, I'd say maybe third of the book did catch my attention. I thought the characters were really fleshed out. I thought the main character was really delightful, had like a nice southern charm to her. I liked the description of all the locations. I thought it was, you could really visualize everything that the character and author was trying to convey. However, I just didn't care about the plot at all. The writing was beautiful, but I could have cared less. Like by the time I got halfway through this, I just realized I kept overlooking this book, even though it's Christmas themed and I was trying to read all my Christmas reads before Christmas or on Christmas week. I just didn't care to finish this one, which is not very good, especially for a mystery, because you usually what keeps you reading is you want to know who did it. Well, I just don't care. Like I didn't even peek at the end to find out who did it because I just could care less. Like, which it sounds a little harsh maybe, but I just couldn't get myself to engage with the mystery. Like it had some interesting elements at first, it was okay, but I just didn't care. Like the characters were interesting, the dialogue was interesting and well written, but I just could have cared less about the mystery. Like there was just no emotional attachment whatsoever. So I just stopped reading it because I was like, okay, I would have to force myself to finish this. I just felt so unengaged with it. So yeah, I know that's a bit harsh, but that's how I felt with it. So I thought the writing and the characters were beautiful. I just could care less about the plot. So I didn't finish it, which is I'm a little sad about. Okay, so we have one book. This is kind of like a more like memoir-style book, and it's a commentary on the self-help industry. It's really interesting. It's called Help Me, One Woman's Quest to Find Out if Self-Help Can Change Her Life, and it's by Marianne Power. And basically this takes Marianne, it's like a memoir, like a self-reflection on herself, and it's over the course of a year, and each month she tries to apply the tips from a popular self-help book in different areas of her life to the max. So she takes a book on relationships, she takes a book on self-confidence, she takes a book on finances, different topics, etc. And for 1 month she'll dedicate a ton of time into taking those ideas to the max and really acting them out, because as she said, a lot of people read self-help and then they don't really do anything with the knowledge they got. So are they really getting much help from the book? And I'm someone who does love self-help. I do find a lot of use out of it, and I do think I end up like applying quite a bit of it to my life. So I thought this would be an interesting commentary. This is actually my second time reading it. It's just a really inspiring read. It's also just very funny. She has a fantastically funny sense of humor, and she includes everything. Every time that she breaks down crying, like, you know, just any mess up, everything that goes wrong is in this book, and it really shows a vulnerable account of someone who's trying to grow really quickly and find happiness with their life. And so it's a really interesting book. I've never really come across anything like it. So, you know, if you're interested, check it out. I will have everything linked in the description for you as always, so definitely check it out. But it was interesting. I just liked the look at it. I don't read a lot of memoirs, but it just caught my attention a while back, and I'm glad I reread it. It's really funny. Like, it will actually make you laugh out loud. It's quite interesting. Okay, so another cozy mystery I read, this is also by Rhys Bowen. She had her newest Royal Spinous mystery series come out this November, and it's called God Rest Ye, Royal Gentleman, and it's part of her Royal Spinous series. This book 15 in the series, and it's excellent. It's everything and more. I love this series. It's 5 stars for me. Everything about this series has been great. I would pretty much give any book in this series 5 stars. It's an amazing historical fiction cozy mystery that takes place featuring Lady Georgiana, or Georgie as she calls herself, and her different mishaps. She's like 34th or something in line for the throne, so she's kind of like royal, but she doesn't have like the allowances and like money and wealth and power that a lot of royals do, but she's expected to live a certain type of lifestyle, but she doesn't have the income to do so, so she ends up taking a lot of odd jobs that end up leading her into these situations, and sometimes the queen herself enlists Georgie to spy on different royals that she doesn't trust and things, and this one had such an amazing reveal. I just barely called it before the real reveal was made, and it was so satisfying. I loved it. I don't want to spoil anything, but it was amazing. Basically, this is her and her husband's first Christmas together. They're looking forward to having a Christmas in their first home together and having some family over, when she gets a letter from her husband's aunt, who was a lady-in-waiting to the queen, and so it's kind of like a royal summons in disguise to spend Christmas over at the aunt's. So she packs up with her family and they spend Christmas over at Darcy's aunt's house, and she ends up spying on some royals and kind of watching things, and there's some mysterious accidents that occur, and it just, you gotta pick it up. If you haven't read the Royal Spinous Mysteries, I have like the first 3 up here, the 12 Clues of Christmas. They're just, I mean, I love these books. If you... Whoops. Okay, that was that. I thought that was gonna fall for a moment. They're just amazing. If you like historical fiction and you like cozy mysteries, I absolutely recommend these. They've won... So many of these books have won like Agatha Awards. They are fantastic. So definitely check these out. The writing is so well done. The characters are amazing. Georgie is such a relatable character. It's amazing. And this God Rest Ye Royal Gentleman was one of my favorites so far in the series, which is saying a lot because they're all amazing. So definitely check it out. Alright, one more mystery. So this is called On Borrowed Time by Jenn McKinlay. This is the Library Lovers mystery. It's book 5 in the series, and this is what it looked like. I checked it out from my library. Really amazing book. I love this series. The main characters are great. The writing is beautiful. I love it. This book that takes place with our main character Lindsay. As usual, she's a library director and she's getting ready for Christmas. It's not super holiday themed, so if you don't like to read holiday themed books after Christmas or the holidays, don't worry. This one is very like subtle mentions to it. But basically her brother is kidnapped and she goes on a mission to find out why he was kidnapped, and she realizes she doesn't really know much about his life, which leads to her finding a lot of different details about his life and kind of learning about him without him actually being there, which is an interesting concept. It wasn't my favorite in this series because it didn't really involve like a typical murder like most of the other ones do. It was more of a kidnapping situation, and it was just, some parts felt like they dragged a little bit. However, I would still recommend it. I gave it 4 stars. I'm going to be reading the next one in the series. This is an amazing series. This was probably just my least favorite of the 5 that I've read so far. However, that's like saying that, you know, chocolate chip cookies are your favorite, but you got offered your second favorite cookie. This was still a really good read. I just prefer one that's like a little more murder-centric, which sounds awful when you take that out of context, but I still really enjoyed it and would recommend the book. So definitely check it out. Anyways, that's going to be it for now. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys will hit subscribe and let me know down below in the comments, what did you read this month? What were your favorites or any books you would recommend skipping out on? And I hope you guys have a great start to your year, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!